Hi everybody, hope you've all had a great week. It's Lisa here from Rocco Baby Crochet. In this week's tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make these really cute little baby teething rings. So there is going to be a written pattern to these teething rings as well over on the website. So there's a link down below in the description of this video. On the website as well, I'm also going to do some links to the materials I use because I know I've done a teething ring previously and there was a little bit of confusion over which of the wooden rings was safe for children and babies. So I'm going to link, can you see Tilly here? Cheap yarn chaser. She's just saying hi to you all. So there's going to be a link onto these ones that I use which are safe for children. So let's get going what we need to make these gorgeous little teething rings. Okay, so we've got here everything that we're going to need to make one of our teething rings. The brand of yarn that I'm using is a Dutch brand, and I believe the correct pronunciation is Scapius, which means little boat in Dutch. That might be something new for the day, who knows? I have always called it sheep cheese because I'm a bit of an idiot at times, but I'll probably continue to say that because the actual way that you say this brand of yarn is not sticking in my head. So I'll give you the official name. I'm probably going to always call it sheep cheese. So there we go. So it's the Katona range, and it is a mercerized cotton, so it's got a lovely sheen to it, and it doesn't split as much when you're working with it as just a standard cotton would. So I really like using this brand. The colour is, this blue one is 510 and the pink one is colour 409. So I've got my crochet hook here, and I've got a 2.5mm crochet hook. I've got my darning needle in here. I've got a pair of scissors, a 5.5cm wooden ring, and then you are also going to need some toy stuffing as well. And that's it for this project. If you're newer to crochet, you might want a stitch marker just to mark your first and your last stitches in the row, just to keep a little bit of an easier track on things so you're not getting lost in your stitch count. But let's get into how we make one of these lovely little heart teething rings. Okay, so to begin with, what you want to do is make yourself a slip knot. So we just make a little loop like that. Take the working yarn which is attached to the ball of yarn that you've got and pull another loop through that loop that you've just made. And then if you pull on your working end of yarn, you'll see that that loop tightens up on your hook. You want it so it glides up and down your hook. Don't make it too tight, or else you're going to have difficulty getting stitches into your first chain. So we need to begin by making 6 chains. So you yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. So that's 4, 5 and 6. So for row 1 of this project, what we want to do is we need to place a double crochet, and I'm using in this tutorial UK terminology. In the US, a double crochet is known as a single crochet, but I'll be using UK terminology throughout this pattern. So we want to place our first double crochet in the second loop from the hook. So you've got a couple of options here of how you can do this. So this is the front of your chains here, where you can see both strands making a V. Each V is a chain. So this that's on your hook is just your working yarn. It's not a chain. It doesn't count as anything. This here is your first chain, and this here is your second chain. So you can insert your hook into the middle of the 2 strands of yarn there, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. That would make your first double crochet. But what I like to do is I like to use the back back loops of the chains. So the back loops are just these lines here that you can see going down the centre. If I turn it to the side, you can see that they're raised a little bit, and it just gives your work a little bit of a neater finish. So I will insert my hook underneath that second back bump, pull up a loop. I've got 2 loops on my hook, yarn over and take off both those loops. That's my first double crochet. So I just need to make 4 more for row 1. So insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over and take off both loops. 2, insert my hook into the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over and take them both off. That's 3. Into my next one, insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and take off both loops on my hook. Now this last one, if you're working into the back bumps, is a little bit tighter than the others, so just have a little bit of patience if you're new to working into the back loops. You want to insert your hook, yarn over, pulling up a loop, yarn over and take off both those loops. Okay, so then you want to chain 1 and turn your work. So for row 2, into this first stitch here, into this very first stitch, we're going to place a double crochet increase, which means we're going to be placing 2 double crochets into this first stitch. So you just insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop and make your 2 double crochets. Into the next 3 stitches, you're just going to place 1 double crochet. So that's 1, 2 and 3. Don't forget to use stitch markers in your first and your last stitches if you're new to crochet, so you don't lose them. And into this very last stitch here, we're going to place another double crochet increase. So we're going to pop 2 double crochets into this last stitch, 1 and 2. So then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and we're going to move on to row 3. So for row 3, into this first double crochet, we're going to place an increase again. So we want to pop 2 double crochets into that same space. So that's 1, and then go back into the same stitch and place a second one. And then what you're going to do is you're going to place 1 double crochet into the next 5 stitches. So that's 1, I'll just move my loose end out of the way, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then into this last stitch here you're going to place another increase, so you're just going to place 2 into that one, 1 and 2. Let me just get a little bit more yarn. Okay, so for row 4, you just want to chain 1, turn your work again, and into the first stitch here again you're going to place an increase. So insert your hook into that very first stitch and place 2 double crochets, and then into the next 7 stitches you're going to place 1 double crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, and into your last stitch here that you've got remaining you're going to place 1 last increase. So you're popping 2 double crochets into this very last stitch here. Chain 1 and turn your work. So for row 5, what you want to do is you place 1 double crochet into the first 10 stitches. So starting here, insert your hook into this very first stitch, and you're placing just the 1 double crochet this time, and then 1 double crochet into the next, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, and you should have 1 stitch left to work into. And what you're going to do into this very last stitch here, which is just there, if you can see that, just there, you're going to place an increase. So you're going to insert your hook into that last stitch and just place 2 double crochets. So that's 1 and that's 2. Chain 1 and turn your work. And then we're going to move on to row 6. So for row 6, what you want to do is into your first stitch, you're going to place an increase. So insert your hook here into the first stitch and place 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and then you want to place 1 double crochet into each stitch along, and that will be a total of 11 stitches. So let's count them. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and my last one is 11. So then you're going to chain 1 and turn your work again. So for row 7, we're going to be introducing some decreases. So into this first stitch, we want to make our first double crochet decrease. So how you do a decrease is insert your hook into your first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. We don't take them off at this point. Move directly across to your second stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. You've got 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops, and that is what is known as a double crochet decrease. Into the next 10 stitches along, we're just going to place 1 double crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, which leaves us with 1 stitch, and we are going to place a double crochet increase into this one. So into this last stitch here, insert your hook and place 2 double crochets into that last stitch. You're going to chain 1 and turn. And for row 8, our first stitch here is going to be a double crochet increase. So you're going to place 2 double crochets into this first stitch, and then into the next 10 stitches you're going to place 1 double crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, and you should have 2 stitches left now in this row. So if you look here, you can see that there's my 2 stitches left. See a little bit better, 1, 2, and we're going to make another decrease. So insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then move into your last stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops on your hook. You're going to chain 1 and turn, and for row 9 we're going to start row 9 by doing another decrease. So insert your hook into that first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, move across to your second stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook there, yarn over and take off all 3 loops. Into the next 10 stitches along, we're just going to place 1 double crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, and we've got 1 stitch left to work into just right here, and we're going to place a double crochet increase into this last stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, take off both loops. That's your first double crochet. Insert your hook back into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, take off both those loops, and that is your increase. Okie dokie, so then we are going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work, and what you want to begin with here is you're going to insert your hook into your first stitch and you're going to place a double crochet increase. So 2 double crochets into that first stitch, and then you're going to place 1 double crochet in every stitch across for 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, and then we've got 2 stitches left, and we're going to work a decrease into these stitches. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Chain 1 and turn, and for row 11 we're going to start this row now with a double crochet increase into this first stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook, insert your hook back into that very first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and take off both loops on the hook, and that's your increase done. So then what we need to do is we need to place 1 double crochet into the next 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, which will leave you with 2 stitches left. And what you want to do there is you're going to make a double crochet decrease. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, move into your last stitch, insert your hook, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Chain 1 and turn, and so for row 12 we're going to begin with a decrease. So insert your hook into your first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, move into your second stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Then you're going to place 1 double crochet into each of the next 10 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, and you should have 1 stitch left to work into, and you're just going to place a double crochet increase into this very last stitch. So you're going to pop 2 double crochets into the last stitch of row 12. Chain 1, turn your work, and for row 13, into this very first stitch here, you're going to place a double crochet increase. So you're going to place 2 double crochets into this very first stitch, 1 double crochet into the next 10 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, and you should have 2 stitches left, and you're going to make a decrease into these last 2 stitches. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then move along to your very last stitch, insert your hook again, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that's row 13. So we need to move on to row 14. Sorry, I've got a little croaky in my throat. So chain 1 and turn your work. Into this first 2 stitches we're going to make a decrease again. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. Moving across to your second stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up another loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. You're going to place 1 double crochet into each of the next 10 stitches, so let's do that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, and that leaves you with 1 stitch, and we're going to place an increase into that one. So you're going to insert your hook and place 2 double crochets into that last stitch. Chain 1 and turn your work, and for row 15, into the first 11 stitches we're just going to place 1 double crochet. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11, and you should have 2 stitches left to work into, and we're just going to make another double crochet decrease here. So insert your hook into your next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, move along to your very last stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So then you're going to chain 1 and turn, and this is row 16, and we're going to begin with another double crochet decrease. So insert your hook into that very first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, move across to your second stitch in the row, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull off all 3 loops. And then what you're going to do is you're going to place 1 double crochet into the next 10 stitches. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and our last one, 10. So then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and for row 17 we're going to begin by making a double crochet decrease. So insert your hook into that first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, move directly to your second stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and take off all the loops on your hook. So then into the next 7 stitches you're going to place 1 double crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, and that leaves you with 2 stitches left, and we're going to place a double crochet decrease into these last 2 stitches. Chain 1 and turn your work. So for row 18 we're going to begin with a decrease. So insert your hook into the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, move across to your second stitch, insert your hook, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. And then you're going to place 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, which leaves us with 2 stitches left. And you've got it, we're making a decrease into these last 2 stitches. And then our last round, so chain 1, turn your work, first 2 stitches we're going to make a decrease. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, move to your second stitch, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull off all 3 loops, and then into the next 3 stitches 1 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and then you have got 2 stitches left to work in, and you're going to make 1 last decrease into those 2 stitches. And then you want to chain 1, and we're just going to tie off our work. I always leave around sort of 6 inches. Grab your scissors, snip your yarn, and if you just pull on that loop it'll pull it through. Hold the yarn there, pull on that loose end which will secure the knot. So what you want to do is, I don't spend an awful lot of time making these tidy because this is going to be on the inside. So to secure these loose ends, all I do is one of these loops here, just go through one side just so you're not coming out through the front. Insert your hook, grab this loose end of yarn, pull it through that stitch, and then yarn over, pull through. Keep it pretty loose at this point. Just give it a little stretch, making sure it's not changing the shape of anything. And then place your thumb onto where we've made that little knot and just pull firmly onto that loose end of yarn, and that will just secure that for you. And I usually do that twice. It's just, I find it a little bit quicker than sewing in ends, especially when they're going to be on the inside of something, so it really doesn't matter. about these lines of yarn. So again, insert my hook underneath one of the back loops of the work, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, place my thumb where that knot is and pull firmly. If you don't place your thumb where that knot is, you're going to end up pulling your work out of shape, so make sure you do that. And then I'm just going to do the same on the other side just quickly. So you're going to want to go ahead and make a second one of these, but what you don't want to do is don't tie anything off just yet, because we're going to have to attach them. So when you've made your second love heart, then come back to me. Don't cut anything off, don't tie anything off at that point, because we're going to work round the two edges and work them together. Okay, so you go ahead, make your second love heart. I think they're really cute. There's my first one. I'm going to make my second one, hit pause, come back to me when you're at that point, and then we can put them together. Okay, so I've made my second heart. What I just want to do is I'm just going to secure this loose end here from my starting chain, just exactly the same as I did with the first heart that we made. So you're going to want to go ahead and do that. It's a really fun little quick project, this. I enjoy making these. It's good for a beginner as well, because it's just the double crochets really until we come to the edging, and that's using the crab stitch, which is still a double crochet, we're just going in reverse with it. Okay, so that is my loose end all secured. Let me just trim that a little bit. So we're going to put together these two halves of the heart. So make sure where you've tied in your loose ends are in the centre, and you just want to line them up. You should still have your working yarn here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to evenly place a single crochet all the way around. But before we sort of close this last bit up here, we're going to pop the stuffing in. Let me just grab my hook. There we go. So I'm just going to have to turn it around because of the way that I'm going here. Okay, so what you want to do is insert your hook into a stitch, and because these are double crochets, you want to be doing sort of one double crochet for each row that you've crocheted, and you are inserting your hook through both the hearts. Oh, let me just get that focused. So your hook is going through both hearts, yarning over, pulling up a loop, and yarn over, take off both the loops. So you're just making the double crochet in exactly the same way as you have done, but just going through both the hearts. And just place those pretty evenly all the way around. Like I said, I do one per row, and that keeps it pretty good for me, but just take your time doing it. It can be a little bit more difficult because you're going through both the hearts. You need to push just a little bit harder, and then I'm going to go back up this side. Don't forget, if you prefer the written pattern, bob yourself over to our website. I'll pop a link to it in the description to this video. And if you do want to see more tutorials and get the free written patterns, then please like and subscribe. To Rocco Baby. We'd really appreciate that. They've got some amazing colours in this Katona range, where what I'm going to do is, when I put this all online and the written pattern goes up, I'll put you some links there. But there's so many colours, so whatever colour you're thinking of doing, there's going to be a colour there for you. I can pretty much guarantee that. But any kind of cotton, I do think that mercerised cotton looks really nice, but that's just my personal little preference. I like the sheen on it. Miss Tillywinks is here again. Okay, so I've got about an inch left there that I've not sewn, well, I've not crocheted together. So I'm just going to pull up, make sure I've got a decent amount of yarn there so I'm not going to lose any stitches. And I'm just going to fill this love heart with the toy stuffing. So let me just grab some. It always amazes me how much of this stuff that you actually fit in here. So much. Nobody wants an empty heart. We all want nice full hearts. And don't forget, they will be washed as well, so pack this in quite tightly. And just evenly as you can. There we go. I think that's a nice amount there now. So then go back to closing the heart up together. So you've just got a little teeny tiny bit to go now. And then we're going to work the crab stitch and attach the wooden ring. Again, over on the website I'll pop links to where I get my wooden rings from as well. So you will have everything. I know that some people were a little bit confused with the other teething ring that I made on which ones were safe for babies. So I'll make sure I post that, and then that should answer any questions that you've got. So that's all my double crochets done now. So that's how we're looking at the moment. Blinking cute as a button. So what we want to do now is we're just going to work the crab stitch all the way around this, and what you're going to do is into each of these double crochets that we've got, we're going to work backwards. So going back a stitch into this one, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and take off the 2 loops on my hook, and then into the next stitch. So we're working to our right instead of to our left, but you're still working a double crochet. Into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through, the stitch to my right, inserting my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. The next stitch on my right, I'm doing exactly the same. And we just keep doing that, and it makes a lovely little edge into these hearts. So then let me show you how we attach our wooden rings. So I always leave 2 stitches free either side in this little dip of the heart. What you're going to do is just chain 5, 2, 3, 4 and 5, pull up a long little bit of yarn so you don't lose anything, and just thread your heart through there. Pop your hook back onto your work and pull through some yarn so you don't end up in a knot. And then you're just going to go back to directly making your crab stitch. So I've got 2 on this side, I'm going to miss 2 on this side, so that's where I'm going to place my next crab stitch. Okay, and then I'm just going to continue to make this stitch all the way around. So if you want to press pause, and then when you get back to the beginning, I will show you how I fasten it off and things like that. But you can see it's a lovely little finishing touch to these hearts. So press pause and I will see you when I'm back round at this side here. Okay, so as you can see here, I have got, let me move that out of the way, 3 double crochets here that I've not worked into just yet. Just there, 1, 2, 3. So into the first 2 I'm going to place a crab stitch, and into the last one, into this last one here, we're just going to slip stitch and just close it off. Chain 1, leave yourself around 6 inches, 7 inches, you want a nice long end, pull up on that working yarn, place your thumb over the end and pull firmly just to secure that chain 1 knot that you've just made. And here we have, so here we have our teething ring. They're so cute, these, I do love them, and they're really fun to make. So all we need to do now is just tie in this loose end of yarn. So I'm just going to grab the darning needle out. Just thread that, and all I'm going to do is insert it into this crab stitch that is next to it. Make a little knot. Beauty of that is that the crab stitch edge in disguise is that little knot. And then I'm going to insert my needle into this heart and push it all the way through to the other side. I'm going to go down to the bottom here and pull it out. And I'm just going to make another little knot over here. Thumb over your knot before you pull it, always do that. And then I'm just going to take my needle, pull that loose end through into the centre, pull on it a little bit, cut that loose end, and then when you pull it, it'll disappear into the heart. And there we have it. They are so cute. I hope you've really enjoyed this tutorial. Like I said earlier, if you do want to see more free patterns, both written and the tutorial here on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe this channel. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and happy hooking, folks.